I'm going to talk about the future, and as you will hear, that much of what I'm going to talk about I had picked up from the conversations this morning. Thank you very much for all the good ideas. So it's about the future, and of course the future will contain a lot of things. There are many paths that we can follow. We didn't really know which one will be the leading path, but one thing is that we all know that the SEMAT path will be the one we all will love to follow, right? Not yet. So let's look about yesterday first. Where were we yesterday? And actually, to most people, it's still like that. Yesterday, most of us were not agile, and then we all became agile. So these are the blue guys, agile, and agile has basically changed everything that we had almost before. Everyone is agile today. At least everyone say they are agile. Of course, you should be agile. The common enemy agile had back when it started was elements like rational unified process. It was about, we had big books. We had books, branded books. So you had to go for Booch or Ramba, or and they were quite substantial. We have done a major transformation in the industry, so now we can call ourselves agile. But there's so many tastes in agile. We should distinguish between the principles and the manifesto from the actual practices. Some of them, basically every method in the past changed name to become agile and the same method. So that's number one. We also moved, so engineers, the word engineers became bad. Most people didn't want to be software engineers anymore. They became craftsmen. And we got the movements of craftsmanship. This has gone on long before. When I started software development, basically, it's so long ago, so I can't even remember. But then, it was at Ericsson. Everyone there, and none of them felt they were engineers. They were closer to artists, creators, and they were programmers. That was much finer than to be a designer, developer. So we got this movement where people we took back, because the reason engineers were not good, the techniques we had at that time were not really, we promised more than we could deliver. We promised that you do modeling, and then you generate code from the models. And of course, in some situations it actually worked, but not generally. So we overpromised the engineering paradigm. And now the other movement was craftsmanship. We had big branded methods, and they are getting out of fashion. It's today we don't write so much books, even if some people cannot stop writing. We write, there are many other ways of communicating. tweets, Facebook, and all other media. And of course, sometimes a book make a breakthrough too, but it's not the common media anymore. So you don't make as much money on writing books as you did in the past. Fact is that my book, I wrote books, yes, I did, and people bought them, and it was substantial money that came in my pocket every year. Problem was no one read them, or only few read them. So we learned that lesson. You don't learn from books, you need other media. So that was one of the reasons when we started the Essence, that one of the criteria for Essence, well, you can say 4 of the criteria for Essence when we started. I stood up in a room like this and described what I expect of the next generation process. Number 1, practice-based. Number 2, a completely new user experience instead of books. Number 3, focus on the essentials. And number 4, use intelligent agents. But the latter has not really succeeded. But the other 3 are better. So now it's not popular in books, but still, of course, do it. And Dave Thomas, and this is not my friend Dave Thomas, this is another Dave Thomas, which is even more popular, pragmatics Dave Thomas. He said the word agile is effectively meaningless because we are all going there. So it's not really any meaning. And there is now a lot of critique against agile, but it's more like against agile practices than it is against the key ideas. So what challenges do we have to ensure that we have a best method? That is really one of the challenges. It is, of course, how do you know that you have the best practices? How can you find new practices? How you can change as time goes by quickly with new ideas? How can you educate your team quickly? And not only educate, how can you change an organization that already is using a methodology to move to another methodology? I have been in one company, a big company, very big, that developed the most successful product ever in the history of Sweden, and still is. But the methodology they used 30 years after selling it, first time selling it, was basically the same as it was 30 years ago. They just couldn't change. They had no technique to move out a change, mental change in the organization. It's very hard to do. So you need to have better instruments to do that, and that is where I think practices will help. So there are many challenges for us in making sure that we really build software with the best available technique. And that is one of the challenges we try to address. And we also have challenges with methods being passive. Basically, all methods in the past, basically all, there are some exceptions, were just books. And you had to read the book to decide what to do. And of course, if that's the case, if you don't like the text, you easily can skip it. Remember the time when RAP was the most successful process ever. People said they used RAP, and the only thing they used may have been use cases, and not even that. Because no one could ever follow up if they really used it. The management were happy, we're using RAP. So one of the challenges we address here is that the method should not be passive, it should be active. So you actually, and this is achieved through the state and state progresses. So what we did is we acknowledged the poor state of the art of software engineering. And SEMAT call for action. SEMAT call for action was written in 2009. We basically had two statements, two long statements. One was the software community, development community is immature. And here are 5 examples of why it's immature. Number 1, we look like a fashion industry. We change fashion every 2 years. What was popular 2 years ago is not anymore popular. Number 2, we have no connection, or very poor connection between academic research. There's a split between academic research and industry. And there were 4 others. They were of similar nature. And then we said, we want to refound software engineering. Basically revolutionize. It's not a small thing we said we would do. And it will be based on a kernel of widely agreeable elements. For both developers and analysts and so on. And a couple of other things. I need to keep track of time, so I'll start now. And I know I have half an hour, right? Right on? Okay. So I have to distract. Yeah. Okay. So this is, I have no, so the only thing I have is basically 3 slides. But then I have some historic things I put in between. This is what it looked like at, let's say, 1990s, end of 1990s. Lots of books. The problem was that they all had their own terminology, couldn't really mix and match. It was impossible to really, you had to sit and look a little here and a little there. And we created this. This is something from 10 years ago. We need a new method architecture. At the bottom we have, this is now a modern, and I think June showed a similar slide to start with. So we basically have methods at the top. The real innovation here, maybe not an innovation, it was more like you identified, found out, namely that even if we have 100,000 methods, we only have a couple of 100 practices. And the method is just a composition of practices. So that became first a hypothesis, and then it has been tried. And this is the common ground. This is what we had many years ago too. Now it's done. So let's see, today, where are we today? We are agile, still agile. And we have got essence, the common ground for software engineering. And we have heard a lot about it, and we have heard about the values and how it can help us. We don't polarize anymore. We are not polarized with craftsmen and engineers. But we have not really clarified how we want to have it. We feel that there are things that we will ever, always need craftsmen. We'll always need people who are competent in doing the job. But the tools, the techniques, will change as time goes by. So you work with more useful tools as time goes by. So we still always have craftsmen. But as I said, we will have engineering disciplines, more and more engineering disciplines. And we have it already today, you can see it. And we also, I said that we need a new user experience. Now when we work with methods, and that is what we have in essence expressed through the essence of software development. It is expressed through superlight user experience, like cars. If someone had said to me 15 years ago that I would advocate cars, I would have laughed. But I can only say it has been incredibly effective to transfer competence in very practical, tangible way. And this has impacts all of us, developers, executives, teachers and researchers. And that is absolutely fundamental for success. If we don't have this common ground that people in the academic world as well as the industry can live with and work with, we cannot really be on the path to a good future. So we need to have, that's why I think it's so important that SEMAT has an education area, have a theory area, and of course the practice area, which is the biggest one, to really move to a future where we can teach at universities already what we have. And one of the things we can do now, instead of comparing methods, we have a much easier job, and that is we can compare practices. We can compare use cases against user stories and know that they can replace one another. That's not quite true, but of course. But at least you can do comparison. And this is what I said earlier, methods are now not only passive, they are active. And they support the developers and or the people who use them, can support them in doing and not only in reading, which was the past. So, we have now the what's of software engineering. We've never had it before. The only thing we have had in the past have been definitions of what software engineering is. 5-liners. 5 lines. This software engineering is applying engineering practices to software development. Bertrand Meyer's definition of software engineering. There are tons of such definitions, but it's only been at that level. Okay, there have been textbooks, but they have been just like any book. You read them, forget them. Now we have a standard that defines software engineering, the what's of software engineering. How you do it is not part of essence. How you actually develop is not part of essence. That is what we need to focus on now. We know how we're going to do it. We know we are going to get the house by adding practices on top of the code. This is a slide I used 2009 to convince a leader in the craftsmanship movement to join SEMAT. Very famous man, but I don't think I should mention his name. He was very concerned about getting professionalism, getting people who are craftsmen. So I describe this. To get professionalism, you need to start with knowledge. Without knowledge, you cannot be professional. And you can also describe it as competence in best practices. So today we have islands of knowledge. They are unrelated. You can learn about use cases, you can learn about CMMI, component. This is, as remember, this slide is from 2009. So today I probably will have other elements there, but you can learn about that. So it's islands of knowledge. This way is slow and costly, more costly. It could be a curve instead to show how hard it is to move to be professional. Instead with SEMAT we get universal, well, I don't know, I won't use that word today, but you get structured knowledge. So you can see which practices are there. You can add new practice and you catch it. And that is a better, faster, and happier way to get professional. slide, he actually joined us. So he felt that it was more like process and methodology and such garbage, whereas I explained it in this way. So let's get to tomorrow. Agile, still, we haven't changed, and I hope we will never change. The thing we may change is we don't talk about it so much. The other thing we change is that what we call practices, the practices will be different. So we will get practice libraries. As you saw, IGI has already 28 practices in one library, and I know other people are doing libraries as well. We don't know how we are not yet agreed on how to deal with it, but of course I think they should belong to a SEMAT library, so it can easily be accessible, one way or the other. And of course there should be hundreds of composable practices. Every practice is described in using the Essence language, but also with all kinds of references to other documentation, to references to books that exist. We don't need to rewrite all the books, but people don't read them anyway, so it doesn't matter. And we need to have tools of many kinds. Of course, we need Essence tools, what is now being worked on at several places. In Korea, in Stockholm, and in, who else will talk about tools? Yeah, in Norway, of course. So, and we hope there will be many people caring about tools, because that is absolutely needed to really get where we want to get. We will also get practice-specific tools. You know, most tools we have in today are point tools. They help you to do use cases. They help you to do analysis. They help you to do coding. They help you to do text and so on. But the practice is cross-cutting all this. So we need tools that are make the practices lean. And that means we need to have a tool that actually help you all the way. And it doesn't need to be one tool, but you need to have tool support that is very good, efficient, lean in doing the practices. I mentioned this to the general manager of IBM Rational 8 years ago. We need to have practice-based tools. And then I heard he had stood up and told his executives, we need to have practice-based tools. But it's, you first need to know the practices that you're going to support, so it will take a little while. But of course we are going to have practice-based tools if we believe in practices, and the whole world seems to believe in practices. We also need other kinds of tools. I mentioned earlier intelligent agents and expert systems. I will come back to that in a little while. So what big change is that now practices have become first-class citizens, meaning these are the things you learn, these are the things you change, these are the things you run, these are the things you compare, and so on. And methods become just composition of practices. And we really don't need to spend that much energy to compare methods as we need to compare practices. So that's a significant change that has happened. Okay, this is obviously repetition. And now we are getting to the house. This is describing practices. So the what's, essence is the what's, and now we want to describe how we do get to the what's, and that is practices. Here's another historic slide. In 2005, our popular hero, Bill Gates, already quoted earlier this morning. He said, it's the road ahead, and that is intelligent agents or expert systems. And this is a slide that we used back at that time. An intelligent agent is an expert on doing something. I do use cases, I do architecture, I do internet planning, I do embedded system, I do business system. We had, in the year 2000, I founded a company to actually do these things. That company developed, we had probably 20, I can't remember exactly, we had 25 agents. And an agent was an expert. We had thousands of rules, rule-based system, but they were localized to an agent. The tool was fantastic. It gave active guidance when you work. It took over automation, so some things you didn't need to do with tools. The agent would do the things with the tools. And it reviewed and saw, is this right? Have you missed something? Is anything missed? This is something you cannot do in ordinary tools. You need to have a very context sensitive. It's a very context sensitive thing. It didn't work. The idea is still, for me, absolute at the top, and it will happen. And we see more and more of this happening already today, with Watson from IBM, and so on. The reason it didn't work at that time was that we had really this was based on rational unified practices, and RUP didn't go so well. So that was the main reason. And second was that we didn't have a platform, technology was not there to help. We had to develop our own rule-based system. Not really a good idea, but we had to do it. But we demonstrated the values, so I still believe very much in this. So more, I'll continue about tomorrow, so even if this is only my first slide, I have a couple of them. So what's in it for developers? Where developers will be able to, but two major things a developer will get. Number one is be able to measure progress and health in daily work. Number two is that they will learn for life. They don't just learn a methodology and then they move to another place where they don't use that methodology, where they have changed terminology, even inside the same company. In big companies, it's hard to move because you have to start all over as a new beginner, even if you work 10 years. So this is two good things. And when it comes to executives, is that they can, also two things. They know what the organization is doing because they know the practices, they know the libraries and so on. But they also can create a learning organization. People can learn for life because practices are instruments, easy to learn. When it comes to teachers, for the first time they can teach something generic. Instead of teaching, like in Sweden, one university teaches extreme programming, another university teaches Scrum. This is probably a couple of years ago since I heard that. But, so they have different, they teach a particular specific methodology. And then people come out in the industry and they have to learn what the industry is doing specifically, instead of having a common ground that is applicable wherever they go. So, and we have finally researchers. At least we now have a definition of what software engineering is. Because if you're going to do the, research in software engineering, it's probably quite good to know what it is. We have now, to the industry, we are moving, we do agile, but we are not just primarily relying on software development as a craft, but on software development being an engineering discipline. We are moving to becoming more engineering-like. And that means you have practices for doing engineering. Architecture is a very important practice that has more or less been forgotten over many years. Many companies, big companies, are sitting there and have no architecture for their new products. So that is practices, but it's also the whole way that you systematically work with software development. And of course we need many practices, and now power by essence. We say power by essence because essence gives a lot of value to the practices. So what have we done? Yeah, we have now, in this future, I don't know when it is, refounded software engineering. So what's next? One of the problems we have is to explain why we do this. What is the value? The problem is, it's very hard to go and say to a CIO that if you do this, you'll make this money. Because it has so profound essence, has so profound impact on the organization. So we thought that based on discussions with one customer in particular, no one mentioned, how can we explain to management the return on investment? So we started to identify which are the use cases. You don't need to look at the, you see there are plenty of use cases. We identify the use cases of essence, and not all of them probably, but we came up with many journeys that we can take a customer on that will give value to the customer. And then, these are described, all of them, on 2 lines, not more yet, but it probably will be more. When we started to think about pain points, real pain points that we can see companies have. Have you had a nasty surprise when a software project went badly wrong with no warning? I think every company has had that kind of experience. And there are 2 use cases here that will help you with that, and why is then motivated. You wasted millions when a method went out of fashion. Wasted millions when a method went. I mean, can you imagine how much money companies that invested heavily in RUP, and then no one wanted to use RUP? I mean, I know many companies that did it, and they spent $10 million, $20 million, and so on, to educate people, and then it was thrown out. Of course, it was stupid in a way, because you could have reused some things in RUP. It's not everything was poor. There was things you needed to add to it, but based on that we don't have anything, any language to talk about it, we throw out it instead. And that RUP is not the first thing that's been thrown out. Like I brought it before RUP. We had structural analysis and design. It's been like that forever. And there are some use cases that support that. Present paying to reskill people as they flow between different parts of your IT organization. That's a lot of money, and it's not only money here. It's the people in themselves. I mean, if I am an expert, I worked 10 years in an organization, but now they need me somewhere else. But since I don't know what we're doing, I have to spend a couple of months to just learn what's going on. That's common, very common. Do you recognize this? Good. So finally, more tomorrow. We heard today, it's not only software engineering, it's system engineering. And when we started SEMAT, I was asked by many people, can you not enlarge it to systems engineering? But I stood steadfast. We need to do something that's good for software engineering. If it's not good for software engineering, it will never be successful anyway. So, but in my company we had done a kernel before that worked for systems engineering and service engineering. So now it was just to narrow it, but it's coming back. Project engineering, business engineering, we talked about that today. And of course service engineering, same thing. Generic endeavors. When we were in Russia a couple of years ago, people suggested that, I heard it for the first time at other people than myself, it's a little bit bombastic to say that this can be for any kind of endeavors. So I didn't say it, I thought it. But here in Russia, they actually told me they were using it to try to extend it for any kind of human endeavor. And even teach, by the way, even teach at high school for high school students, because it is the essence of things you can do. Now, what's interesting, one of the interesting things I've seen now lately is that there is this is just intuition, okay? My feeling is now, in the new world, in the industrial internet, by the way, we have developed the starter pack for industrial internet. There's a couple of papers we have published, or about to publish, about how to use essence in this industrial internet. But one interesting observation is that innovation practices are becoming more important than development practices. It's not dramatic. We still need to develop. But right now, the big companies want to find new products, new innovative products. So that is something we need to pay attention to. So, we hopefully get industry adoption and academic adoption. And now we have reached a paradigm shift. Many people have talked about this as a paradigm shift, and that's why it's really hard to get your head around it, to understand the impact. You can just go back, I mentioned that during the break for you, yes. And if you go back in the history, back to before when we had, basically when we had write code in assembly, high-level languages were heavily debated. Shall we really use languages like Algo, Fortran, and so on? We lose the control of a machine. That was a paradigm shift. It happened, but it took a long time, and many people were objecting. We had a similar thing. We had the same thing when we went to object orientation. Before, the people who didn't do objects, procedural programming, had a hard time to see the value in objects and components for that matter. And even moving to Agile. When I came back to, at that time I worked for Agile Software, and I came back and talked to all my intelligent friends, some of you know who they are, and said, I think we really need to care about Agile. It's really where we had to go. The answer was, there is nothing new in Agile. It's true. It's absolutely true. There's nothing new in Agile. We just couldn't see it. And we have a similar situation today, which is the problem for us. It is, you really need to spend significant time to really understand the values that come out of essence. That's the bad news. The good news is, when you do it and come over that, you will see basically things in a new perspective. And that is a paradigm shift. So I will finish with a word from Watts Humphrey. You know, basically he's known to be the father of CMMI, which he doesn't liked himself. But he said that the first meeting we had on SEMAT in March 2010, this meeting in Zurich is likely to be a historic occasion, much like the 1968 NATO session in Gulf. I think he's right. What do you think? How many agree? Yeah, come on, come on. Michael, you are...
But still lot of things to do.
Oh, that's why it's fun, you know? If it was over now, what would we do tomorrow?
Oh.
Okay, thank you.